All right.
Welcome, sports car driving blowfish, vengeful hollow ghosts, and time traveling vampires, to episode 297 of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 13th of March 2019, and featuring Torchwood, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, written by Chris Chibnall and starring John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, Eve Miles as Gwen Hooper, Bern Gorman as Owen Harper, Naoko Mori as Toshiko Sato, Gareth David Lloyd as Yanto Jones, and introducing James Marsters as Captain John Hart.
Breathe, Bill. Breathe.
Quite a cast. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and I could not refer to Spike as bleach-dyed because he's not blonde in this show. We are Mad Matt Winchell.
I caught on. It took me a moment, but I caught on to what you did there.
Randy Ronson McCulloch.
Good evening, everyone.
And Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Oh, Levittown.
Thomas Fireheart should be joining us this production, but he's running a bit late, so hopefully he'll be there by the time here before it's time to start on the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I also just realized that I refer to Spike as if it were his real name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm not the one who wrote the cast list.
I fortunately know that the only problem I occasionally make is I will mistake typing James Marsters for James Marsden, who was the guy that played Cyclops in the X-Men movies.
Right.
The original, Yeah, so I would occasionally make that mistake because I was dealing with both at the same time. I've gotten better since then.
Oh, and we have a Fireheart.
Hey.
You just came sometime between the introductions and the opening banter.
Well, we're in the opening banter.
There we go.
So.
True.
I'm eating Legos.
Kind of a bipolar week for us here. Last Saturday, it was snowing to beat the band, and today it was almost 50 degrees. It's supposed to hit 50 tomorrow. I'm like, the hell?
Supposed to get close to 60, in fact, actually, tomorrow for some places.
Yeah, we've had at least 2 days over 50 this week and at least 2 days under 30.
Yeah.
I believe this is the second day of rain this week.
Yeah, we're getting flood warnings, which is not surprising because on top of the rain, we've had a buttload of snow that's just melted.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to the traffic report while taking Aaron to work, and they said one of them highways going in and out of Madison was closed because there was a sinkhole that formed under it. And I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. You don't hear that often around here.
Nope.
But, yeah, it was kind of, wow. It's wet. Very wet.
You know, I think sinkholes is an interesting way of going too far. I mean, like with volcanoes and earthquakes and hurricanes and floods, is like that's not enough. Like now, holes just have to spontaneously appear.
Well, I've said for years that Wisconsin has previously been called God's country. And that may be true, but he wants us out. He keeps sending us eviction notices.
First he says it's rain, then he sends us more snow again. You give me mixed signals.
So yeah, it's been kind of course, there's always Australia where everything on the continent is designed to kill humans.
That's the official get out.
Mm-hmm. The plants, all of them are toxic. Animals, all poisonous or deadly.
If there is a God, by that point he was just tired of the English moving into every piece of land they saw.
This is our land. This is our land. Yes, this is our land too. Okay, that's it. Fuck you.
Fuck you, drop bears.
Everything there lethal. Fuck, they're surviving.
How can you survive this? I swear to God, I'll make the dingoes eat your babies. and more animal references to Australia.
You know what? I'm just going to put this fucked up animal down there just because. The platypus, ladies and gentlemen. Proof that God was either drunk or in total error. Or he just likes messing with us.
No, see, God's a naturalist.
It's
He's
a
on
mammal,
mushrooms.
yet it lays eggs. The fuck?
God's a naturalist. He's on mushrooms. He was high as a kite and just went.
All right, so here's all the leftover bits from all the other animals. We'll just put this together and
Let's put this together and see how it
Okay,
does.
here's the
It's
bill of a
thriving,
duck.
fantastic.
we'll
This is
lick
gonna-
it, lay
this is
eggs,
gonna make
but it's
so
not a
many
bird.
jokes.
Give it a frickin' beaver tail. There we go.
And you don't want to get scratched by it, because otherwise I'm pretty sure its claws are poisonous.
They're either poisonous or septic. I can't remember which.
Either way, yeah, the nasty. Now, if only I had enough time to fish that jackalope.
Yeah. You know, they're up there. There's got to be a list of projects: Jackalope, Hodag. You know, they're all just listed there on the to-do board, and they've been there for like billions of years. I'll get around to it eventually. Jersey Devil, Chupacabra. It's all on the list. Anyway, we've had enough metaphysical talk here. Let's move on to what we're doing tonight. First of all is news and birthdays. There's a few birthdays, all of which seem to fall on one goddamn day. And a little bit of news. Not really important news, but news. Then we have a review of Shame by Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make up for his non-appearance last week.
Shame.
Assuming
One
my
of these
internet will be
days,
stable
Bill's-
enough
one
to
of
let
these
me
days-
do it.
One of these days, Bill is going to come back from one of these trips, and it's just like, fuck you, Bill. I'm running the show now. We've recorded your absences way too much. You ran out of comp time.
I don't think you can kick the owner of the podcast out of his own podcast unless he's really been that absent. Unless he's been gone for like half a year or something.
We have a little bit of geek talk to talk about. And then, of course, we will go into our episode summary, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So let's get this ball started, shall we?
Hooray, yeah.
Birthdays, and it's a lot of important birthdays, starting in the 10th of March with the birthday of Yi Ji So, who in the 1996 TV movie, and has done various works for Big Finish ever since.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's turned 44. Next is the big day.
Oh yeah.
And the first birthday on the list is John Barrowman. Barrowman!
Topical.
Fireman.
Captain Jack Harkness from 2005 to 2011, not to mention Big Finish. Afterwards, he became Malcolm Merlin on Arrow. He's turning 52. Or turned 52, I should say.
And still
On
going.
the same day is the birthday of Alex Kingston, who played River Song from 2008 to 2015. She turned 56. Same day is the birthday of Douglas Adams, writer, script editor from 1979 to 1980, also known as the creator of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. Would have been 67, but died in 2001 at 49, while in the process of making the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie. It's
Which I
such a
find to
shame
be
he
which
never-
I find to be slightly flawed but very entertaining.
Well, you wonder how different it would be if he had been able to
Direct
keep,
it, yeah.
keep
Mhm.
control of it through its entire run. It's still sad he never got to see Hitchhikers hit the big screen.
That being said, his television version of it was quite good, if a bit dated.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was BBC 80s.
BBC, yeah, in the 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't it start as a radio program?
Yep.
Yes, it did start as a radio
Yeah.
program in the 70s.
And also quickly
a
went
lot
from
of
that
the
to book.
same cast were hired to do the TV version. But the radio version went further than the TV show ever did, because I think the TV show was only one or two seasons and basically covered the first couple of books worth.
Yeah, it only covered the first 2 books.
Mm-hmm.
Need to sit down and watch it again sometime now that I own it.
Whereas there's been radio versions for all of the books, even the ones that were not done by Douglas Adams. Anyway, he would have been 67, but died in 2001, 49. And finally, the 11th of March saw the birthday of Graham Harper, director from 1984 to 1985, best known for directing Caves of Androzani, and then returned to Doctor Who for 2006 to 2009, starting with Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel, and was basically one of the main dramatic directors during the Russell T Davies era. He turned 74. I am really surprised Moffat never got him back.
I don't know. Maybe he just didn't see a script he liked.
Yeah, either that or he just decided, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
Either's
I
possible.
mean, he is 79, so...
Mm-hmm.
No, he's still active, so I'm honest to God surprised.
Yeah, if he's still active, then either he just didn't see a script he liked, or Moffat just never really thought about it.
Yeah, because
which is only Moffat's fault at that point.
He's directed since then. He's only directed one thing since leaving Doctor Who, and that was an episode of Hollyoaks in 2014, which is a British soap opera on Channel 4. So it really just kind of basically sounds like he just kind of Moffat just kind of put him by the wayside, and
maybe he quietly retired too. Who knows?
No, he's still listed as being active.
He's still actively looking. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he doesn't have more work then. Maybe he's doing stage shows or something too.
I don't know. I honestly can't say. He's done freelance work in the meantime. Apparently, he has directed BBC Two comedy horror stuff and that kind of stuff, but it's freelance. He's not hired on.
He's not officially hired on for long term for like a full episode or something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, apparently in 2012 he filmed several episodes of the Nickelodeon series House of Anubis. So he's doing stuff.
He's doing stuff. He's just not making big notes of it.
Yeah, it's not official work. Okay. So that's all the birthdays. Happy birthday to Yiji, John, Alex, Douglas, and Graham. Moving on to news.
Okay.
And straight to award news.
Okay, Jodie Whittaker is one of over 100 women to receive the prestigious Freedom of the City of London to celebrate the centennial of the 1918 Representation of the People Act. This honor is usually given to royalty, heads of state, or other influential figures, such as Nelson Mandela and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. The 100-plus women receiving this award are from various walks of life, but all have a connection to the City of London. In Whittaker's case, she received her training at the Guildhall School in the City of London.
Yeah.
Freedom of the city mean you can just like walk into any door and no one can say, "Hey, you're not allowed." I mean, actually, that is a very doctor award to receive.
Originally, the award itself stems from the 1200s. And it was basically...
Of course it does. It's fucking London.
it was originally a writ allowed somebody to do trade in the City of London, which, mind you, is a closed, which was a very closed-off private portion of the city. Yeah, it's old. It's considered more of, it's kind of a key to the city thing. Would be a closest equivalent, but it was originally a writ that allowed you to do trade and business within the City of London. And like I said, since then it's become something that they give away to people of global standing. I mean, the 100+ they're giving it to is the largest amount they've ever given it to at one point. I mean, it has been given to people like Woodrow Wilson,
Yeah.
Franklin D. Roosevelt,
Okay.
Charles Lindbergh,
Hmm.
Annie Lennox.
Ooh.
I wonder if I click on in the article if I'm going to see a dozen comments from MRAs asking when it's going to be given to over 100 men.
I would expect the
Honestly.
trolls to start that first anyway, but
Yes.
because
It
teenagers have too much time on their hands.
Yeah. 1237 was when it started, and it enabled them to carry out their trade in the city of London. So yeah, there we go. It's a big freaking award and honor. I mean, can you imagine being on a list with people like Desmond Tutu and Alistair Cook, and yeah, it's a big deal. There are some people
Right
that got
on.
it from just being like a firefighter that did, valiant work. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a concept, kind of a difference of that and a Medal of Honor, and yeah, it's a big deal.
It's like having a stamp made of you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, like I said,
Well, stamps probably come up eventually
Although-
anyway.
Honestly, I think most doctors have a stamp made of them anyway.
It's like I said, it's like you see stuff in fiction about people getting the key to the city.
Right.
Yeah.
Stuff. And yeah, that's kind of the same kind of award, I think.
Go back to my favorite Russell Howard joke. The Queen just walks around during Halloween with a picture frame. Look at me, Philip, I'm a stamp.
All right. Moving on.
Moving on. We go from awards all the way down to books. In Candy Jar Books. Instead of its usual fare, Candy Jar Books is releasing a non-fiction book detailing the history of Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. The Brigadier Declassified is a collection of articles and essays covering the Brigadier's career and appearances from 1968 to 1975, and again in the 1980s, and again in 2010. The Brigadier Declassified is now available for pre-order directly from Candy Jar Books.
That's
As
cool.
far as I can tell, it's like behind-the-scene notes.
Behind the scene
and
notes
like-
and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, like writers' Bibles and other minor things. Like, okay, the Brig is coming in this. In case you don't know, Writer X, this is a brief. This
Brief
is
synopsis on the character, yeah.
Yeah.
Note for the costuming department: mustache is mandatory.
If he doesn't have one, make one.
Although he didn't have one in Modern Undead either. That was weird. His teacher persona didn't have a mustache. It was wrong.
But he wasn't the brigadier. He was like quasi brainwashed.
Yeah, it still was wrong. He doesn't look right without the mustache. He looked okay when he had the full beard, but he needs to have facial hair. Oddly enough,
Otherwise,
Aaron
he's
says the
evil.
same thing about me.
Yeah.
All right, now on to Big Finish news. Big Finish's celebration of International Women's Day is out now. The 8th of March, featuring Ace, Sophie Aldred, Professor Bernice Summerfield, Lisa Bowerman, Professor River Song, Alex Kingston, Leela, Louise Jameson, Kate Stewart, Gemma Redgrave, Osgood, Ingrid Oliver, Madame Vastra, Neve McIntosh, and Jenny, Katrin Stewart.
Breathe,
The 8th
Bill.
Hey, I'm not the one writing these lists of names.
The thing is, they didn't tell me what the episodes were called. Otherwise, I would have put them and then featuring that. Instead, I just got this big freaking list of names.
The 8th of March is available now from Big Finish for £25 CD, £20 download.
I did have a listen to the trailer. It sounds interesting, but I'm not sure how it ties together.
It's interesting. This is the first Big Finish appearance of Madame Vastra and Jenny. They've now since announced that they're going to be doing a whole series of Paternoster audios.
This is that one? I knew that they announced that they were going to be in one a while ago.
Yes,
I didn't realize that was this. Okay.
That's this one, yes. They announced this like a year ago almost.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's for this International Women's Day. And so yeah, this is the first time Madame Vastra and Jenny will be appearing.
I recently learned the history of that day. Considering the title and who's in it, I'm wondering if they actually follow the history of it, although I kind of doubt it. But we'll see.
I just think it's a celebratory thing, not really the history of.
Also out now, the finale of the Chameleon trilogy is out now in the Doctor Who main range. In the Chameleon Empire, the Doctor, Tegan, and Turlough discover the origins of Chameleon and the race that made them. The Chameleon Empire is available now from Big Finish for £14.99 CD, $12.99 download.
Just what we needed, a whole bunch of chameleons.
I listened to this one as well, and I'm not sure, but it sounded like the Master might be involved again.
I don't know. Either way, a whole bunch of chameleons. You just, at that point, you just want to kill yourself.
Are they all malfunctioning and not working properly? And
no, because they're not physical.
No, but they're all being voiced by John Coleshaw.
Yep. An army of chameleon robots. Viewer be warned.
And finally, classic Fourth Doctor comics are now available in audio dramatization. In Fourth Doctor, the comic strip adaptations Volume 1, Tom Baker and new companion Sharon, played by Rhiannon Starbuck, will have to defeat the Iron Legion in Doctor Who and the Iron Legion. And then will come face to face with Beep the Meep in Doctor Who and the Star Beast. The Fourth Doctor comic strip adaptations Volume 1 is available now from Big Finish for £23 as a 5-disc CD box set or for £20 on download.
Now, we've been talking about this one for a while.
Off and on, yeah.
Because I remember a while ago there was that news announcement, which I think was just meep.
Yep, and I was like, nope. No. That was about the point I decided I needed to start censoring what we got finished. Yeah, it's at that point I started to put an edit. It's like, okay, we'll announce it when they first announce it, and we'll announce it when it comes out. We're not going to keep updating every week when they decide to post something stupid about it.
That being said, I have read some of the comic books that they are bringing to audio. I can't remember the Meep one that well, but I do remember Iron Legion, and that was pretty fun.
Big Finish has done Beep the Meep before in at least 2 different audios, so it's not the first. This is going back to, I think, when the character was first created.
Yes, the comic book is where it first came from, because the comic books came out, I want to say, in the late 80s.
Speaking of characters that first came from comic books, hopefully if this sells well, then we get that opens the door for things like more Frobisher.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back Frobisher.
You know, it's just going to be eventually that Big Finish will have done all the comic strips, all the frickin' Virgin novels.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just have all of it available from Big Finish.
They'll have a deal with Boom where a month after each comic strip comes out, the audio version does.
Mm-hmm. And like a year after a novel, it comes out and for Big Finish. They won't even have to do their own writing anymore. They just do the audiolizations of the novels.
Although, actually, for the sake of people that rely on audios, like people that can't see, having Big Finish produce them simultaneously might even be a good idea.
Actually, yeah, that could actually go places for people.
Well,
I know some traditional publishers have audiobooks usually come out around the same time as the print book.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the narrated audiobooks. I'm talking about the full dramatizations of, like, you know.
That's kind of what we're still talking about, too.
Yeah, but if it came out at the same time, they would do it as somebody narrating the book.
Makes sense, yeah.
More than likely they would if it's coming out that close, yeah. Give it a year, they could do the full audio.
On how small Big Finish used to be, you know, around 20 years ago when they started.
Yeah, how small they were when Doctor Who came back, and then how big they are now.
Yeah. Not just when Doctor Who came back, when Big Finish first started doing audios, when they first did Sirens of Time. They were this teeny tiny company. And now they're this huge thing with more ranges than just Doctor Who. I mean, you
Like
take a look at this
Seven, Dark Shadows,
Captain
and that's just the top of the
Scarlet.
stuff I can remember.
Mhm.
Did they do Captain Scarlet?
Yes, they did. I'm looking at their list of ranges. Captain
Holy
Starlet,
shit.
Mysterians.
Star Trek novel adaptations, which hopefully means more Star Trek, but you never know.
They've done Pathfinder story
Mhm.
novelizations.
Oh, as in the role-playing game?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
I'm trying to
Pathfinder
remember
Legends
which one they
Call.
had to take down because they lost the license. Was that Judge Dredd?
Might have been Judge Dredd.
That's a maybe, probably the most likely.
Let's see.
Because they're trying to do stuff with that license again.
Yeah, that might be why.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't see Judge Dredd on their ranges anymore.
Mhm. It was by the original comic name, which I'm blanking on what that number was.
20K or something like that? I forget too. Something
Mhm.
like that. But yeah.
No, Judge Dredd is still there. 2000 AD.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
It was 2000. Okay, that felt like too small of a number, but I guess that's just
No,
how sci-fi works.
I clicked on it out of curiosity, and there it is, Judge Dredd. Okay.
Mhm.
Dan Dare. Wow, they got the audio adventures of Dan Dare. Nice. That's some classic shit there. Oh wow, yeah.
What did we say about not pimping their stuff?
I'm sorry. It's just looking at
Just looking through the library, going, "Oh shit! Oh look at that!"
If I had, a gazillion dollars
And much more free time.
Oh, I've got plenty of free time. But yeah, I could basically spend a crap load of money just listening to a lot of this.
Okay, as a psychology major, I'm kind of scared to see what the Sigmund Freud files is about.
They've got Night of the Triffids. Nice.
Of course, you have to have a version of that. How could you
Yeah,
not?
it really doesn't. It doesn't really. Apparently, Sigmund Freud is the main character in like mysteries. Wow.
Oh.
Wow. That's wow. I'm not sure who thought of that. That's kind of interesting.
And apparently they're associating him with the Rorschach, which had nothing to do with him whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Oh, wow. They've done audio dramas of The Prisoner.
Mm.
Yep.
That's awesome. Okay. Enough pimping Big Finish.
Anyways,
I couldn't help it. I was looking at just this and just thinking, oh my god.
Randy,
Well,
I would make jokes about what you're doing to Big Finish, but I won't on the live show.
If we are pimping Big Finish and have time to mention it, I did recently finish listening to the River Song Meets the Masters box set, whatever volume that is, and I'm going to say that I recommend it. Very funny, and I'm not going to give any more because we'll probably review it one day.
Probably.
I think it's volume 5.
Sounds right.
Diary of River Song Series 5. I'm pretty sure. 'Cause that's the one that I can see Missy on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm looking at its Doctor Who auf Deutsch. So apparently they do Doctor Who audios in Dutch or German.
Deutsch would be German, yeah.
Yep.
Deutsch would be German. Deutschland.
I had to correct myself.
Mm.
But
Though I
yeah,
guess it's me again anyway, huh?
yeah.
That
you're
review
next
of
on the
Shame
list.
is before Geek Talk.
Yep.
Yes.
So, Bill, what
All
are you
right.
covering today?
So last week I wasn't able to join to talk about End of Days. I did go ahead and rewatch it this week anyway. So I'll say what I liked about the episode. I liked the premise. I liked the idea of the Rift going crazy, pulling people through all these challenges to deal with. What I did not like was I thought Billis's reveal as a bad guy was way too early. I get that if you watch it as a two-parter, it works a little better because you have that whole episode of not knowing what's going on. But especially watching it as a one-off, it just felt like they destroyed all the suspense way too early.
The plot between the episode before that and this one was too different to be considered a two-parter. The only connection you have is they both involved Billis.
But what I mean in terms of the Billis reveal, for purposes of that, it's a two-parter, and that makes it better. But especially watching it alone, it's way too soon that it's revealed that he's actually a bad guy. If you have that extra week to think about it and wonder, then it works a little better. Even still, I think they should have saved it for the last 15 minutes of the episode.
I agree with you. I mean, I'd said earlier that I thought this should have been a two-parter. And it should have ended about the point that you saw the big bad, but
gotcha.
And I've mentioned I'll say it could end sooner, but other option is a better option than what they gave us, to be honest.
Right. My favorite scene was Gwen, the part with Gwen's decision to open the rift, because by contrast, I just feel that scene actually was really well built up to. There was all this stuff going on in terms of, Gwen's motivation, and at that point, it was really the only way out for her, and I think that it was a good payoff. Not as well as some of the others, but with hers in particular, I think it was really well built up to as the main character. And my least favorite scene, that is going to be the scene where Abaddon is defeated. Many reasons. Partially because it was way too fast. Partially because feed the hungry monster until it kills itself because it ate too much is a trope, and one that barely makes sense in the best of times. Partially because I'm not a fan of the way Jack's immortality seems to work, according to this episode, is that it just throws the laws of thermodynamics out the window, and he just creates life that can be consumed, and not a fan of that concept at all.
It doesn't really work the way that we've seen it work, where he dies,
right,
and then time passes and he comes back.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if this was the Doctor getting regeneration sucked out of him,
yes,
that would make more sense. Yeah.
And the Doctor actually has a form of energy that's associated with regeneration.
Yep.
That would work for that as well.
Matter of fact, aliens hunt for stuff like that throughout the galaxy, so it would even make sense that a monster would want to devour it.
Right.
Yeah, it really sounds like the writer confused Jack as a Time Lord. No. Fail, go home.
Yeah,
It's possible it was originally written as a Doctor Who episode, because they do make a direct reference to the Satan's Pit, and it looks like they use some of the same CGI assets. So it seems that it's
we mentioned that it looks like it was a
reskinned
reskinned Satan's Pit, and it's not as effective.
Right.
For a split second, I thought you said Saiyans Pit.
Well, I
Our
mean,
level's over 9,000.
I was gonna bring it.
To the Doctor Who canon.
I don't think Jack could have beaten Vegeta quite so easily.
I mean, there is technically
he would have dated Vegeta.
I mean, the funny thing that Tim mentions that is that there is actually a fucking episode where Goku goes up against an enemy that can absorb energy, so he just fucking goes Super Saiyan, and it absorbs too much and explodes.
Yep.
So...
There's a couple of those, actually.
I think that one was a little better than this one. It made a little bit more sense. But
that's because it's also anime. It makes it's already kind of unrealistic, so it gets a pass.
But yeah, so final thoughts. One thing I haven't mentioned is that this is one of those episodes that just Torchwood occasionally takes this hard left turn with Jack's personality and kind of ramps up to make him enough of a dick that the plot makes sense. Because if he was slightly less of a dick, the entire plot would fall apart. Otherwise, I mean, I think a lot of things are pulled off really well in this episode, especially when it comes to the rift. Most of the acting, if not all of the probably even all of the acting, except for I think it was more a direction issue with Jack.
Mhm.
But yeah, everyone plays their role really well. You really get the tension, except for that script issue there. And I guess I'm going to say between those probably three negatives, the bill is revealed too early, Jack's personality, and that final scene, I'm going to say it's just enough. I'd put it like a 4.2, so round to the nearest, it's a 4.
Okay, so you agree with the majority of us, save Thomas.
I don't think I ever went in and checked what you rated it.
I rated it a 4. Matt rated it a 4. Tim rated it a 4. Thomas gave it a 5.
I almost gave it a 4.5, but talking about that final scene, I'm like, I can't give it a 4.5 with the way with the climax like that.
I was mainly generous because a lot of the acting, like, and
which
also
was
it was like
admittedly superior acting from that show.
Like, if like something tells me if upon rewatch my score like might go down, but it probably would just go down to like a 4.5.
At 4.5 or worse, yeah. I was struggling a little bit too, but I decided I'll play safe at a 4.
For me, it's just there's a lot of things that don't work with it. So, anyway, so that's his review of Shame. Let's go on to Geek Talk.
Got a couple things there.
The first thing is our movies category. Thomas has been to the theater. God, I wish I've been to the theater because I've missed so much. I've got a freaking gift certificate for $100,
Just haven't had the time.
Because Aaron, first of all, works, freaking 3:30 to midnight when she's not working overtime. I have had no time to go to the theater.
And furthermore, she's been working overtime on Saturdays now, so...
Unless I go without her, and I feel really guilty if I go to the movies without her.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave your significant other out, especially if you got to see a good movie.
It's a lot funner when you go to the movies with somebody than when by yourself. I don't know. It's just the human thing craving social activity.
I can't really relate. I haven't been to the movie theater with someone in over a decade.
Well, that's just sad.
And now just hearing, I'm so lonely.
Well, I mean, it's honestly worse when there's very few people, but all of the other people aside from you are in couples, which has happened to me at least once.
Oh yeah, then you're really like feeling the odd one out.
Yeah. It's actually funny because I meant it only occurred to me when I was sitting down to watch Captain Marvel that I was like, "Fuck! They did a showing of First Blood yesterday. I meant to go to that."
So, speaking of Captain Marvel, how was it?
I honestly enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I can very easily see why some people. I mean, let's just face it. The people that are all like, oh, SJW shit, blah, 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 those people are gonna hate that movie regardless.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the reviews of it, and they're hilarious. Not intentionally hilarious, just hilarious.
Just dumb burger hilarious.
But yeah, I mean, like, I will pretty much say yes. There is a lot of, stuff that I was able to get something out of, but it's probably going to mean more to women that it's going to strike a chord with. I mean, it's funny because I saw someone comment on a review that they'd clearly watched without seeing the movie, so they were getting someone's opinion of. It's like, I don't know, because I guess it would just be feminist themes that are there, but they're not like necessary. Like, some of them might seem like they're beating you over the head with it, but not really. I mean, I even remember watching friggin' like Linkara's vlog about it after I watched it, and
Yeah, one of the more
his wife was very much saying that it was a bit more subtle in places than it could have been, but like there's like, you know, she deals with a lot of shit.
Mm.
I will put it this way: if you have to compare it to Wonder Woman, just because female-led superhero movie,
Yeah.
I prefer this.
Mm.
However, because Wonder Woman came first and means more as a character, I would say that I was more emotionally invested in Wonder Woman. However, yeah, this like I still enjoy this movie, and it's at least as in my opinion, this doesn't fall apart in the third act like Wonder Woman does to a point, which, you know, it's still I still enjoy Wonder Woman, but the third act something went wrong there. I mean, there are plenty of people who are probably going to be able to say that about this movie. It's like, fair enough, it's your opinion. Acting's great. Samuel L. Jackson is fucking great in this. It's one of those things where it's been so fucking long since he's been in one of these fucking movies, and he's basically a main character. Like, once he shows up, he's there for the whole movie, and it's
I heard that the only difference between this and the idea of a Nick Fury Origins movie is that there's slightly more emphasis on Carol.
Yeah. Also, there's like the thing is that we're not getting like grizzled Nick Fury. We're getting like jerky, like I was almost gonna say like a Men in Black Will Smith Nick Fury, but not necessarily. But this is like a more energetic, less serious, less like
That's everything's dire, Nick Fury.
dude. Yeah. And there's a lot of this just is him. I swear to God, I didn't even know Coulson was in this, but he is, and it's not a spoiler to say that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not in it a lot, but yes, we actually do get Coulson back in an MCU movie for like the first time since Avengers 1. So that's fun.
A lot of this is flashback, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
The entire movie takes place in the 90s.
Yeah, the entirety of the movie itself is 90s and flashbacks to earlier than the 90s.
She has flashbacks as
I heard
she
it was
had
kind of
memory issues.
I heard it kind of played out sort of like Highlander in a present past thing going on.
She's having flashbacks because her memories were messed with.
Yeah, if people and they're like, you know, this isn't a spoiler either, but Ronan the Accuser is in this. I will say he's not in it much, and if you hated how over the top and Shakespearean he was in Guardians, then you might actually like him in this, because maybe it's just because he's not showing up as much, but Lee Pace actually gives a lot more of a subtle performance.
I heard that's related to character development too.
Probably,
possibly.
yeah. I mean, again, it's a matter of he's just not. I mean, for one thing, he's not the main villain. He's just kind of.
He's just kind of a background character.
The movie's great as far as I'm concerned. Is it? I'll put it this way: the way I wanted to put it on Facebook, and Facebook wasn't letting me post anything, so that was annoying. Is this the best Marvel movie ever? No. Is this in my top 10 Marvel movies? No. Does that mean it's a shit movie? No. It's a very enjoyable movie. As far as I'm concerned, people should actually, whether you see it in the cinemas or you wait for it to come out on streaming or whatever, I would say don't make judgments based on reviews you've seen. See it for yourself, whether you go to the cinemas or not. And as a reminder, people, for fuck's sake, this is a Marvel movie. There are 2 credit scenes.
Yeah.
One that's relevant to the movie that's coming up next, and one that's it's basically the typical thing that they've started doing lately, where the mid-credit scene is the one that you need to see, and then the last one is kind of just a joke bit. But it is a funny joke, so I would say that you can stand through for it. I swear to God, bring tissues or something, because I'm not going to say what it is, but they do a tribute to Stan Lee as well.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that too. I haven't heard
and
details, just that's there.
It is pretty fucking amazing. I don't really want to compare the ones we've had, but I would say this is probably my favorite of the tribute that we've got the past couple of Marvel-related movies.
That's right. I think I remember hearing what it was, or like part of what it was, not everything, but part of it.
I mean, it's not really a spoiler to say what it is, but I just don't want to say anyway, because I feel like it's better if you don't know. And he does have a cameo in this, which I saw close attention to it.
I saw an article trying to overanalyze it with relation to another movie, so yeah.
I personally have to wonder if Disney should have waited to make this movie until after the Fox buyout, so they could have gotten some of the more canonical history of Carol Danvers in there.
You mean you want Rogue?
Yes, I want Rogue to steal her.
Rogue happens later. Rogue happens much later.
Been saying that.
Rogue happens much later.
Well, no, I would understand it if it wasn't for the impending buyout, which means that now they're sitting here and going, okay, so now we need to fold the X-Men into the universe. How the fuck are we going to do that?
I agree that trying to do, the Kree-Skrull War, Nick Fury, Thanos, and Rogue all at the same time that would have been a little bit too much. Be a bit too much.
Yeah, and like I said, the Rogue thing happens later.
Actually, no, it should have happened earlier.
Before she got her powers?
No.
Well, I see what you're...
Before she got
unbrainwashed? Wait.
No.
Because she's gotten her... Because the original character, Carol Danvers, I don't think her powers were originally alien-based. I do not think.
No, but so you're unwrapping things that
aren't part of this continuity.
They're not trying to deal with 4 Captain Marvels.
Yeah, they're not dealing with 3 or 4 Captain Marvels at this point.
Yeah.
So they're kind of merging it into one.
Yeah, they're merging all the previous ones into just Carol right now.
Yeah,
I mean there is
I'll put it this way: they explain the origins of her powers in this, and as far as I'm aware, of the few power origins that I'm kind of aware for her, or at least any kind of semblance of that's where she got it. This doesn't seem like any of those, so they've just gone, fuck it, we'll do our own thing.
I know that one of the other Captain Marvels they hint at in the movie based on having seen the trailers. I think she was the second Captain Marvel. But they hint at one of her other identities possibly happening down the line.
They have one of the other ones that would I heard by name that another Captain Marvel is in this movie, and she also takes up other mantles other than Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that's the one I mean.
And then I wouldn't be surprised if there might have been a secreted away Miss Marvel mentioned somewhere, because that's probably one of the more popular takes on the character that have come out recently too.
Yeah, I just thought it would have been a good way to start introducing the X-Men into the MCU, because that's going to be happening soon, at least from what they've told us.
Yeah.
Especially considering how bad the freaking what were they? Externals failed.
Although if they waited on this until the Fox deal finalized and filmed afterward, that would probably mean that Endgame would have had to been held off for another year, and they didn't want to do that.
Yeah, they needed some explanation because she's supposed to show up in that movie.
7 days, people. 7 days. 7 days and the deal is finalized.
Damn.
But yeah, then how much post production after that? A lot.
Yeah, bloody hell, the amount of I'm pretty sure I counted like 3 or 4 effects teams listed on this movie.
I've seen a few people list. It seemed like they were describing the effects as the reason why this was a terrible movie. Surprised me a little bit.
I've heard that some of the laser beam effects felt lazy, but the rest of it apparently went really well, especially like the CG for the shield characters because they needed to be made up to look younger.
Oh yeah, like Jesus, these like it's funny because with Coulson at first, when he's making a very specific face, he looks like a completely different actor. But yeah, like Samuel L. Jackson, as I've seen other people say, it's not even just that he looks younger; it's that he's not just Samuel L. Jackson as he is now, but looks younger. He actually feels like
he's acting like his younger self.
Yeah.
He seems like the type of characters that would say, "Hold on to your butts."
Maybe younger than that.
I will. So like just to end it, I will say that technically this is a spoiler, but I just don't want people to get their hopes up. There is absolutely no reference to Kamala Khan in this movie.
Yeah.
I heard that Marvel said they were holding off on that.
So yeah, don't get your hopes up if you were hoping that there was any reference to her. There is
just for the hell of it. Do they mention Jersey City just as a nod?
I don't know because this entire thing is set in California, from what I can remember. Like I think this is set in LA. So
gotcha. Actually, come to think of it, it's the 90s. Kamala wouldn't even have been born yet. So yeah, it would have been really hard to reference her.
I was gonna say like 10 to 20, like an adult by then.
And that it would have been a really weird post-credit scene to just show a Pakistani couple going to the hospital in labor. Like that's all they could have done.
Like half the audience would be like, "What the fuck?" And the other half would be like, "Oh." But yeah, this would be a little too soon. That would mean that Miss Marvel will be 20 years old at this point in normal time.
Right.
I mean,
she's supposed to be a teenager.
From what I've learned after the fact, there are some characters who I didn't know had more meaning than they do that are in this. That
happens.
Could be things later, but I don't know. I didn't know until watching videos about the movie afterwards that it was like, oh, okay. So that's potential setup for stuff that could happen later.
So it gets recommended from you?
If you want to, just see it, even if it's just to form an opinion on it, even if you have to wait until streaming.
All right. So, moving on, Matt has been playing the latest version of Half-Life.
Oh, not the latest version of Half-Life. This is, so I get voted up on things for trying to go through like different series and stuff, and recently I did Half-Life Opposing Force. This is the first original expansion for the original Half-Life, and this is my first time actually legit going through it. I didn't know what to expect going in, and very briefly, what you find out is that you're playing one of the soldiers that was sent in to essentially both attack the monsters as well as capture and possibly kill Freeman. What you find out is that they were highly uninformed as to what they actually were supposed to be doing, and that you're just trying to get yourself and maybe any other people you can help get out of the facility, while also coming up across some events that happened in the original game. Like at one point, you can see Freeman go through the portal. And I think the game lasted me 7 hours, but I can't say I was annoyed at some things because it got really difficult at points. But I will say for the majority of the game, it was very fun.
Okay.
And the next one in the series will be Blue Shift for me.
So this is essentially early Gearbox software.
This is the first big hit for Gearbox, yes.
the company that would later go on to do Borderlands,
Mm-hmm.
which would really earn them a claim to fame.
Yeah, because apparently Valve originally released this with Sierra, and Sierra owned Gearbox at the time. And so they hired on Gearbox to do this expansion and Blue Shift, which is what I'll be doing next after this now, when I get back to
Yeah, because
Half-Life.
didn't Sierra like collapse?
I want to say Sierra collapsed like a couple years after Blue Shift.
Apparently, it died in 2008.
Mm-hmm. So actually, probably about a decade after Blue Shift then, or at least 5 years or so.
Yeah. Just reading up on it because
About 5 to 10 years later, yeah.
This is still technically Valve's baby, but
it's all Valve's baby, and Valve still puts it out there, and Valve still makes money off of it because they got final say in what went down. But someone else did the major level design, new monsters, etc.
And that was Gearbox.
And Gearbox made it for them, and they got final approval from Valve and released it as an expansion.
That's not unusual in game publishing. Here in Madison, we are home of Ravensoft, who tends to do secondary work for other companies, releasing for expansions and stuff.
They do the secondary stuff, but occasionally they do their own stuff still. I forget what they do recently. There's something I heard about. I can't remember what it was.
But, I mean, it's what they're known for, is doing a lot of the secondary work. They were in charge of things like Hexen and Heretic.
That was actually their own baby, yeah.
But no, I mean, it was based on the Doom engine.
Oh, yeah, they bought the engine.
Yeah.
They bought the engine, but they made their own fantasy first-person shooter game, which, by the way, played the original Heretic. Very fun game.
I've had it, too. I had that shareware ages ago.
You can still buy it on Steam.
But that was, one of the things they did, and they did a lot of, like, Star Wars games based on existing engines and that kind of stuff. They tend to take somebody else's engine and build a new game.
Yeah, they tend to buy up other people's engines, and they'll make their own stuff as long as they got the license for it, or they're making their own original thing based on it. Either way.
They have done their own engine before. I think they did the Quake 4 engine, for instance. And they were at least a couple versions of Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's right. I remember one of the things they were called up for a long while was to do Call of Duty games, and it's where we kind of like went at them for a while. I'm trying to find more on what they've done, and I can't find a solid list. Raven software games. Here we go. What's the most recent one? Bottom of the list.
Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
Oh yeah, last year. Okay. So yeah, they're still doing Call of Duty games, mostly.
In fact, that's what they've been doing now for about...
Yeah, they've been doing the Black Ops and the Modern Warfares.
Yeah, they've been doing Call of Duty games since 2010.
And they did the Wolfenstein for 2009.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because there's a new Marvel Ultimate Alliance coming out, and they're not going to be a part of that one now.
Nope, because they're busy doing Call of Duty.
Yep. They're still doing COD.
I mean, you look at this company, way back, 1990s, they did Heretic, Hexen, Hexen 2, Heretic, Star Trek Voyager Elite Force back in 2000. Then they got into the Star Wars, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy, X-Men Legends 2, Rise of Apocalypse, Quake 4, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, X-Men Origins, Wolverine, Wolfenstein Singularity, and then they get to Call of Duty Black Ops.
And it's just down the COD hole from there.
Yeah. Nothing but Call of Duty. I remember we tried to invite these people to GeekCon once, and we've not really had any interest since all they've done since then is Call of Duty games.
Yeah.
I think a chunk of the problem was they were licensed to LucasArts.
That's probably why when
you're done.
Yeah, when Disney went, that's done. That's probably where a lot of their guys went, is out the door when they no longer could license Star Wars.
Yep. Anyway, that's Raven Software, not Gearbox, but it's a company that Gearbox has done that kind of work as well.
Mhm.
That they take somebody else's engine and make a new game or an expansion to an existing game.
But yeah, so back to Half-Life. I have played Blue Side before, and it was pretty good. Also, a short game, just like Opposing Force here. So I won't do a Blue Shift review. I'll just kind of quickly combine it here. And after I do Blue Shift, I'll finally, for the first time, play Half-Life 2, and I'll probably report it on that when I get there.
Ugh. Anyway. No, I'm just pissed that they never actually finished Half-Life 2.
Technically, yeah, they haven't finished it. There's been a whole bunch of fan pseudo sequels, but yeah, nothing official.
What were they
Come
going to
on,
come out
Valve.
with? Like 3 chapters, and they never got past the second.
Yeah, they ended on second, which was another cliffhanger, from what I hear.
Yeah.
They should just come out with the final chapter, finish it off, and say, "Okay, we're not making any more because we're focusing."
At least hire someone that knows their engine well enough that they can
Yeah.
officially say, "Here, just make the final chapter for us." And edit.
At this point, it's going on the same list as Daikatana and Duke Nukem Forever.
If it does happen,
Of
it's
the
going to be
games
garbage.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless they just completely skip Chapter 3 and go on to Half-Life 3 at this point.
except for the fact that Valve doesn't really actively develop games anymore.
Again, they could hire somebody,
Yeah.
but that really depends.
I mean, you'd think they'd have enough money there.
At this point, yeah.
They're a publisher now called Steam. Why do they even keep the Valve name? Just call themselves Steam.
Because they still sell their games, and their games still make money on Valve. Their Valve games still make money on Steam,
Yes,
rather.
but instead of Valve owning Steam, Steam should own Valve.
They're
this
both
point.
the same company. Just
Yes,
different
but
names.
it's like Pepsi and KFC are the same company, but they don't put Pepsi restaurant that sells chicken.
That's news to me.
Oh yeah, Pepsi. Actually, KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell are all owned by the same company that's
Yeah.
owned by PepsiCo.
Say
Yeah, I was
KFC
gonna say,
and Taco
pretty
Bell,
much
I knew.
if it's a fast food place that has Pepsi instead of Coke, it's liable to do
I
that.
mean they did actually. I guess they did a weird thing you can do with stock where they like split the stock in half, so everybody who
Sizzlers,
owned
that's
stock in
something
Pepsi
else
owned
there.
a stock in the new fast food
But
company. But they're basically
literally,
the same
there's no
company.
difference between Valve and Steam because other
Yes,
than
I
maybe
know,
it's traveling a room.
But all I'm saying is the fact that Steam is actually now more
Steam
well
is the
known
more
than
recognizable name. Yeah.
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 It's not. If it was a decade ago, it would have still been Valve, but now everybody just knows Steam.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just because Valve by itself hasn't really done anything in a decade.
I just refer to both of them as "Oh Lord Gaben." Oh Lord Gaben, please give us the sequel you've been sitting on.
I mean, I think the only
And
thing
please
that
don't make it shite.
the only thing that Valve does is talk about occasionally putting out another Portal game these days.
I feel like at this point, the only reason I almost wonder if now they just do chicken shit to do it, because it's like, well, shit, now it's been built up
Yeah,
this much.
that's a
No
possibility
matter
too.
what they put out, it's not gonna be good enough for the people who've been waiting.
They're
for
probably
it
worried
this
about
long.
that being the case. Yeah.
Oh, well, I have to take that back.
Hmm.
PepsiCo no longer owns.
They split into two
They
separate
technically
companies,
split as a
but
company, yeah.
it's still all the same owners.
Mm.
The stock is still owned by the same people.
Like I said, the only difference between Valve and Steam is you just walk into the other room. It's all the same people. Lord Gaben's still leader of all. Oh, Lord Gaben, please bless us with another summer sale.
Wing Street's on that list too. A&W used to be a part of that company, and now it's not. Neither is Long
It's not
John
anymore.
Silver.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah,
I know they
yeah,
sold Long John Silver. I did not know they sold.
Yeah, the current list owned by Yum Foods, Yum Brands, which is the company
Mhm.
that owns
Yeah, A&W has been its own thing for a while.
KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, Wing Street, and Banth Shop, which is a minority. What used to be on the list was A&W, which was sold to another company in 2011. D'Angelo's Sandwich Shops, which was sold to Papa Gino's in 97. Hot and Now, which got merged with Taco Bell. Long John Silver's, which they got rid of in 2011.
They got rid of them at the same time. Okay.
Yep. Pasta Bravo, which they just closed. Super Chicks sold back to the founder in 2015 because it didn't do too well. East Dawning, which was given to Yum China, and Little Sheep, which was given to Yum China. So,
Oh my.
yeah.
Those poor sheep. Anyway. I guess it's about time. They're actually a little bit over time.
Yeah, we're a little over, but we should do okay.
Mhm.
So, episode summary. Whose turn is it to do the episode summary?
Oh, yes, it should be me.
Yes, it's Bill because he meant to.
Because I was
like, he
planning
was-
to last week, but I wasn't able to be here.
Yeah, it's definitely not
And
Matt's because Matt's done it 3 times.
Yeah, it's basically it's Bill this week and then me next week.
I've got to open a stopwatch.
Okay.
Now it's open.
Actually, Thomas should be up.
Oh, Thomas didn't do last week?
No, he was
I
not
I
did
here.
thought it
last
was-
week. He was gone.
Oh, okay. Because last
Both
week I
were
knew it was
gone.
either me.
You've
Last
still
week I
done
knew
it
it.
twice,
Oh, he wasn't
Bill.
here. Okay.
Thomas has only done it once
Mhm.
since we started
Oh,
tracking.
okay.
Well, I knew last week was supposed to be either me or Thomas, and I wasn't here, so I guess I just assumed it was going
You
to be
both
him.
weren't there. It wound up being Matt for a 3rd time.
Ah,
Shake my fist at you kids.
Because I think the only reason I didn't do it when it was either me or Randy is because I'd only seen the episode just before we were starting, so I knew I was not going to be able to do it. Which is honestly a similar situation this week. It's like, oh fuck, this is going to be a
So
struggle.
whenever
Well, if
you're
you
ready.
want, Bill can do it a 3rd time, but I'm going to wind up hitting you. I'm going to wind up tapping you 2 weeks in a row.
It's your fault.
Well, yeah,
Because it's going to be like
Bill,
Bill,
it'll be fine.
Tim, me, and you twice.
Well, I'll put it this way: if you want, if Bill does it this week, I'll do the next 2 weeks.
okay.
You have
Okay.
that in writing. It's on the internet now. No takebacks.
No backseas.
Okay, I heard
That's
that.
the rules of the internet.
So Bill does this one. You do a drift and exit wounds, and then I'll close it with Hungry Earth, Cold Blood. Okay.
Hmm.
I think we can do that.
All right. Give me a countdown.
All right.
Yeah.
Starting in 3, 2, 1.
The Torchwood team are start the episode off by chasing a blowfish in a car chase through the streets of Cardiff. They catch up with I guess it's a him. He takes a hostage, taunts them a bit, basically says, oh yeah, there's been pretty much no character development since the end of last season. They're all pretty much rookies and they're useless without Jack. Jack shows up, shoots him in the head. We cut to another building, and a guy comes out onto, I guess, the top of a parking garage, sees a mugging going on, kills the mugger, threatens the other guy, and then he goes off and basically holds up a bar. Everybody leaves when they realize he's got guns because it's not America. And then he hangs out until Captain Jack shows up. Actually, first he sends a hello message to Jack. Jack shows up. They very clearly have a complicated relationship. The rest of the team shows up. And they explain that they were former time agency partners and that they were lovers in a time loop for about 5 years. Before... and the guy's name is John Hart. He explains that he's looking for something in the city, potentially very dangerous, and that the team helping him would get him out of there more quickly. Jack really wants him gone because he doesn't want any reminders of his past in Cardiff. They split up. Jack warns everybody, hey, be careful. Everybody isn't careful. And John manages to disable everybody and eventually kill Jack after taking the last of the things they're looking for. He doesn't know that Jack comes back from the dead. However, the team ends up bringing itself back together, and then they force him to loop them in on what's going on. He opens basically what he thinks is the map to a treasure chest, and it's actually a bomb to kill him in punishment for the person he stole the coordinates from. Then they need to stop him from accidentally blowing up Cardiff. They go to throw him in the rift, but Owen manages to figure out a way to stop the bomb in time. They stop the bomb and then send him to go fuck off, and he gives foreshadowing for future episodes in the season. The end.
All right. That was about 2 minutes, 40 seconds.
Oh. Felt like it was long-winded, but... Yeah.
That's because you go on endlessly without breath. Breathe, Bill.
That's because it's timed.
Oh.
I think breaths, but they're very shallow
if we had
ones because-
subtitles for episodes, this episode would be Breathe, Bill.
I take shallow breaths because I know that I'm on a time limit and I can't take full 1 second breaths. I don't have the stopwatch in front of me like you do.
I never think about the stopwatch when I'm doing my summary.
All right, so rolling as I am, because I forgot to earlier, I see that Tim is going to be the first voice we get to hear for
Yay.
what we liked about the episode overall.
I really liked this introduction to another time agency person, sort of to see the kind of person that more of the agency that Jack Harkness was a part of once, and sort of like, which gives us a clue to like what kind of character he was before he got sort of like had his coming of age or coming of heroism. Like I guess you could say before the Doctor rubbed off on him.
He wishes the Doctor rubbed off on him.
Yeah.
Well, he wishes the Doctor rubbed off on him a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Since he was decorrupted.
Yeah, it's decorruption. Like,
Now if only he could sign up for a deperversion, but yeah.
Oh well. Small
Well, at
miracles.
least he's not hitting on poodles.
Spice.
What is that? That's a poodle. It's nice. Yeah, it's like, oh my god. Can you be any more freaky, James Marsters?
Yeah. Like the character of John Hart offered a nice glimpse of like the kind of man that Jack Harkness once was.
Or almost was. I do get the
almost
feeling
was.
that John Hart was like Jack Harkness turned up to 11.
Mm.
I do believe
Yeah.
that even when he was corrupt agency, I believe he did have a line that he wasn't going to sleep with anything that wasn't sentient.
Do poodles count as sentient?
No.
Oh.
Depends
I
upon
think
if you
they
can talk to them or
technically
not.
are sentient, but not sapient.
Unless you're the Doctor, in which case he can talk to you just freely. He does it with horses and a few other animals, as I recall.
I'm going to ignore that comment, Matt.
That's the next step. The next regeneration, the Doctor comes back as a horse.
That's not what I
Hello,
was saying.
Wilbur. All right. Thomas, how about you?
Less the horse, of course, is Doctor.
Yeah, I guess to sort of piggyback off of Tim, I just generally loved James Masters in this.
Name something you
Like,
don't like James Masters in.
true. I was like, as soon as he showed up and I realized it was him, I was like, holy shit, Spike!
Yeah, exactly.
So we've had Giles and Spike now in the
Mhm.
canon of New Who.
I swear
In
to
some
God,
ways.
if Russell T Davies had kept a direct control of that era, we would eventually have gotten guest appearances by Sarah Michelle Gellar somewhere,
Mhm.
but it never
Somewhere.
happened.
I'm a little surprised we didn't get like David Boreanaz in Miracle Day.
hmm I think he was too busy doing his own show.
Mm,
Was it Bones
Um,
or something?
Bones, yeah.
Yeah.
probably.
But yeah, generally, like, even the chemistry he has with John Barrowman as Jack is like, they sell the fact that pretty quickly that these are two men that have clearly known each other for a long time. Which, you know, if it hadn't been the right actor, that would not have necessarily come across as well as it did.
hmm
And
It would have come
generally
across as
sells
forced
the
if they had not written it and gotten a good actor for it.
Mm.
Yeah, and like he generally sells the oh shit, this is what Jack could have become if he'd gone down a completely different path.
But especially that scene where the two of them are wailing on each other and have these huge shit-eating grins on their faces. Different actors that would have come off very differently.
hmm
It just worked so well. Anything else, Thomas?
That's about it.
Okay, Matt, how about you? What did you like about the episode?
I have to say one of the things that hasn't been called out yet is the practical effects. Oh my god, that blowfish outfit!
Oh yeah.
Like where the hell did that makeup come from? Because that was 110% that little makeup.
What was that
Yeah.
blowfish listening to? I would have been.
Oh, I think damn it. I think I might have I remember listening to it at the time. I think I might have recognized the song. I'm trying to remember now. Was it DMX?
Might have been.
See, they missed it. They missed a chance because it would have been hysterical if the
Hootie and the
blowfish was listening to Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah.
It would have just been that just would have been so meta.
I wonder if they thought of that, but they couldn't get the rights.
That's quite possible.
Probably.
That's probably what happened there.
Or for all we know, I mean, unless anybody actually knows, some people here probably watched the original TV version, so you would know if it had changed.
It did not, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, it was Method Man.
Method Man.
It says "Release Yourself" Prodigy mix by Method Man.
Oh yeah, I just found it. Yep, Method Man.
I knew it was somebody that I recognized. I just couldn't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was. It just would have been hysterical if it had been Hootie and the Blowfish. Just that would have just my brain would have gone, "Oh my god, that's just wrong."
And it's like really good, like, character thing for a character that's only in there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, until he dies. I mean, it's just like, and all he's really there for is to provide exposition on where Torchwood is now.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically a plot exposition device.
And
And
it's like,
they spend all this time on this big freaking blowfish outfit, and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, they obviously threw in some major effort on that because that looked like they spent a good long time on it, and I'm not sure how long they did spend on it. But that was a hell of a alien costume to pull off.
Mm-hmm.
And you had him
Kinda
talking.
surprised
You
they-
had him quietly sitting in the car and emoting. It's just that simple freaking mask piece was able to do a ton in just a couple of scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder why that they haven't reused that for like a background alien or something.
Yeah.
Probably because it doesn't.
Well,
it was
there's a-
probably specifically
you put a
made for
bullet
that
through it.
actor,
Probably.
and they also put a
yeah.
bullet head hole into it too.
Yeah.
They probably had to ruin it for that shot.
They still should have the
It's
prosthetic.
They possibly still have the prosthetic, or at least the mold for it, maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna take some rooting around, I assume, too.
I still think that would have been interesting. The thing is, the character name is simply just Blowfish.
Yep, he's just Blowfish.
Yeah.
He was played by Paul Casey, who I'm trying to see.
By the way,
He-
that's an interesting thing. Now I just thought of it too. That thing's name is Blowfish, which sounds a lot like Blofeld, which is a Bond villain, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is apparently a reference to James Bond.
Yeah,
I think you might be pushing it.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of interesting things all at once there.
Yeah, Paul Casey was frequently a Doctor Who monster actor.
Ah,
He did a lot of Cybermen,
Mm.
Hoix. He did an Auton, a Slovene, an Ood. He was the actual physical person in the android, and a member of the Forest of Cheam. So yeah, he was in those early.
yeah,
Days
he was all over the
lot.
place in there. Yeah.
And was still doing it as of Deep Breath.
Apparently, he's been in at least 3 of the under Disney Star Wars movies. That's interesting.
Okay. So he's a popular, sought out monster actor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one step away from a hat trick.
He was a Zygon in Day of the Doctor. So
Of course,
yeah,
he's a Zygon. So he's been in Star Wars and he's been in Doctor Who. Yeah, he's just missing Star Trek.
and that's because they air Star Trek in a completely different country, or they film Star Trek in a completely different country from where they filmed Star Wars and Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot
What's going on, but
it's a lot easier to get cast in both of those
Mm-hmm.
than it is to get that and Star Trek, because Star Trek is usually filmed in either Vancouver or Los Angeles.
Depending on what set they need and probably what locations they're looking for. Yeah.
All right, so Bill, how about you? What did you like about the episode?
Okay, so I came into this planning to say James Marsters because he steals so much of the episode. It's hard to literally think of anything else. But I did actually come up with something else, and that is basically that as a season premiere, this episode manages to hit all of the story and tonal beats that a brand new viewer would need to know to understand everything important about Torchwood. They get the goofiness, the sex, the violence, all of the characters' backstory, thanks to the Blowfish, Jack's regeneration, his backstory, pretty much everything that's important for new viewers is hit in the first episode of this season. And foreshadowing for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
All right. You mean like unlike the snowmen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike this is the anti-snowman. God, was that an upset?
All right.
That's
gonna
going to
be a
be
great
our
jumping
shit
on point.
standard that we bring up every time, isn't it?
Yeah, for a jumping on point. Yeah.
Yep.
It's gonna be a great jumping on point. It's gonna be great jumping on point. You're a liar. This was the worst.
I think that's the point where we decided Moffat needed to be kicked in the dick.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And that opinion didn't change for a while.
No. I wanted to kick him in the dick after Angels Take Manhattan.
Which was the episode right before the snowman.
Yep.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that was the one where I wound up ranting for 2 podcasts about. Yeah.
And that was the podcast that ran 3 hours long. That before we decided we needed a set time.
Really wish you'd had somebody next to me to just slam hands over my mouth. Okay, we're running out of time now. And another thing.
And another thing. Okay, we start setting mouse traps on Randy's desk. Every 5 minutes, one of them goes off and tries to snap at him.
I'm surprised I didn't go that long when we did Journey to the Center of the TARDIS.
Because we had a set time limit at that point.
Yeah. All right.
If you kept going on, we'd just mute you.
What I really liked, I guess, was the writing of the episode, the snappiness of it. Bill's right that it sums up everything that you need to know in the beginning, but you're never really bored in the episode. It just keeps moving.
You could just put James Marsters in front of a camera and say improvise for an hour, and I think
I'm
that's what would
surprised
happen.
there never was the James Marsters show. I mean, he should have had his own vehicle. The man's amazing.
Instead, he decided to play Piccolo.
Oh, God. Okay, the one thing that he did do that I am not happy with, I say that one.
Although, by my understanding, he did send them back to fix Piccolo, either the writing or the costume or both for Piccolo.
He did to an extent, and it's half fixed it, but not quite.
No,
I'm sorry.
Even he couldn't save that movie.
Mm-hmm. And he was a fan.
Mm-hmm. That's probably what pissed him off.
Yep. Anyway, the writing never felt like it was lagging or that it kind of was trying to finish itself too quickly. It just felt like it was very well contained. Okay. So what did we not like? Tim, you were up.
I wish we could have had a bit more world creating in this episode. There's that one brief moment where the blowfish obeys the traffic signals and lets the woman pass, and then the Torchwood people follow them, and the woman just mutters under her breath, Torchwood. I wish.
I think she said bloody Torchwood.
Yeah,
that was the lady that they asked for directions.
Torchwood.
I
wish there were sort of more things in the background that sort of would create world building type things to say Torchwood now since Jack left apparently has more of a presence in Wales, or is more known to some people, I think is what they're trying to go for. Or that's what I got.
I think they're trying to establish that without Jack, they were not able to keep their secrets as well. Their whole behind-the-scenes secret, so that was getting out who the hell they were.
Which is also very aptly demonstrated by the fact that Owen, in the middle of a very public street, decides to lean out the top of the car and unload a few bullets into the tires of the car in front of him.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the person next to him is going, "Please, not again." Poor Gwen.
Yeah, it was. I think that's what they were trying to establish, is the fact that the big secret's not a big secret anymore.
Been a little too rambunctious and not as covert.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was an interesting concept, and I wish they'd done more with it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. We'll see. I can't remember
how much
how much that wound up being a thing in the second season. I can't remember. It's been, to be honest, this is the first time I've watched the second season of Torchwood since it came out.
That's actually very true. This is the first time I've watched this for a second time.
Yeah, same with me. I didn't watch it when it first came out, but I think I only watched seasons 2 through 4 only once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know I was not that thrilled with season 3. And I know season 4 was mostly garbage.
Are you saying season 3 wasn't filled with happy thoughts? Imagine.
Season 3, Captain Jack is a bastard. I mean, that's basically the entire theme of the series. Captain, let's see how much of a horrible person we can make Jack Harkness. All right. So, Thomas, how about you? What did you dislike about the episode?
God, I almost couldn't think of anything, and then it occurred to me, oh, right, they're still doing this, aren't they? All the friggin' shit with Gwen, where, like, at first there's, like, the kiss on the cheek from Jack that she seems to, like, have a bigger reaction to, and it's like, oh god, no, please. And then she gets sexually assaulted by John Hart, and it's like, for fuck's sake, can we move away from this shit with Gwen, please?
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking old. Like, it was like her entire thing in series 1. Can we just do something different with her?
It's like the Torchwood writers could never figure out what they wanted to do with Gwen's love life, and every episode would go back and forth.
Yeah, that was kind of an issue. It's kind of like, do we want to set up Gwen and Jack? Okay, do we want to set up Gwen and Owen, or do we just want to keep Gwen and Reese? It's like they couldn't make up their goddamn minds.
Yeah, I mean, thank God there's like, maybe like one mention, if any, of Gwen and Owen. That's done, seemingly.
Oh yeah, that
Thank
kind of
God.
ended with first season.
Yeah, that was never a romantic thing. That was always something else.
That was always something very questionable, and thankfully both sides decided they're done.
Yeah. They were basically like, okay, people didn't like this. Let's not pursue this anymore. I think Owen and Tosh kind of became a thing this season.
Mm-hmm.
No, they introduced that early in the previous season too. It was part of it was a plot in Countryside.
But I mean, it's kind of weird, that one, especially, since, spoiler alert, Owen dies like halfway through the series.
Mm-hmm.
And
how dead is he?
I
would have to go
back.
mostly dead, yeah. Mostly dead, because he comes back as a zombie.
Well, after he comes back, he hates life more and more.
Yeah, because he's also, I think, completely, and he can't feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
Which
makes me think he's slightly more dead than Spike.
Yeah.
Especially in, parts of his favorite self. Although even, I think in this episode even, or was it this episode or the previous one, there's one where he seemed to, like, have that nihilistic, like, there's nothing new to experience. Everything is shit. Everything, I'm done with everything. Maybe it's
not so much that he's done with everything, so much as he's been looking to try and find another significant other, and he's been getting lackluster results.
Oh, that's right. That was the conversation he had with Tosh in this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tosh agreed with that sentiment as well.
It's just, it kind of like, they just really need to figure out what the hell to do with Gwen. I didn't think they figured it out until the frickin' big finish.
I think they figured it out around the beginning of Miracle Day when she's just with Reese, and that's fucking about it.
Well, at that point, there's not many people left.
Like, there was still Jack.
That's it. And he wasn't around because he had done that whole, I'm going to mourn everybody's death on an interstellar tour through time and space.
Well, he was trained by the Doctor.
Hang out with, what was it? Alonzo?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Alonzo.
All right, Matt, how about you? What did you dislike about the episode?
What I disliked about the episode is that, despite literally having been warned not more than a few moments ago, literally Gwen is also the first one to drop the ball in a huge way. Literally, let him be in front of you. Don't let him get behind you. Don't let this happen. Don't let that happen. And she let everything happen all at once. And as soon as she walked in first, I'm just like, yep, done.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Bill?
I'm having trouble thinking of anything that hasn't been taken yet. I'm pretty sure all of my negatives about this episode have been pretty thoroughly covered. I think I have to pass.
Yeah, likewise, I have to pass because there's not much left. All right, favorite scene? Tim?
Oh, I love the scene where Jack is awkwardly for him, flirting with Yanto in the office.
Mind you, I always thought the Jackie-Yanto relationship came, like, pretty much right out of the fucking blue.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, here Yanto is mourning the loss of his girlfriend, the cyber woman. And, you know, isn't that, and then just suddenly he just goes right into Jack's arms and they get into a relationship. It just seemed a little bit.
Mm.
But I
Yeah.
guess the reason they had to do this is otherwise Yanto would continue to be a horrible, horrible person.
It gave Yanto something to do, and also it gave Jack something to do. Other than usually being handsome, smiley Jack.
No, it just gave Jack someone to do. Is that it, Tim?
Yep.
All right. Thomas, favorite scene?
I honestly thought something else would replace it, but I'm going to go with literally the opening of the episode.
God damn it!
Where he's just... Because it's just, like, so, like, random that it's just drives up in the car, stops, gets the old lady to cross the street, they come up behind him, and it's like, hey, did you see a blowfish driving a car? And just points him off. It's like, where's more of this?
It was very much a Man in Black moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Men in Black. It literally kind of felt like a scene you would see in Men in Black. And, you know, only Gwen's doing the Agent J role. So imagine that same scene, only the window rolls down and it's Will Smith. Did you, like, see a blowfish come through here in a car? Thank you.
Flashlight, thank you. Didn't run off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It you know, it was that very much that Tim Burton-esque kind of thing. And it's just like, okay, I'm digging this. And then we got John Hart. It's like, wow. All right, Matt, your favorite scene.
Bare knuckle fight in the bar.
God damn it, that was my other one.
Just watching them go at each other for how long in that bar?
Yes, with the background music playing, and yeah.
What was that music again, by the way? I've been trying to look that up. I can't find it.
Song 2 by Blur.
Oh, that was that? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, just watching them go crazy to this heavy beating music, and then they just end it with, "Oh, I need a drink. Oh, I thought you'd never ask." And they both just go to the bar and just start chugging.
All right. Bill, how about your favorite scene?
Damn, it's at me already?
Yeah, everyone else has done their favorite scene. Taken 2 out of 3 of mine. I'm waiting to see if you go 3 for 3.
I'm gonna have to go. I don't think anyone mentioned John's first scene yet.
Nope.
I'm gonna take that scene. It's perfect introduction, and then at the end when he says "I'm thirsty," you swear he's about to go bite into someone's neck.
Of course you would say that. Yes. All right. So I think my favorite scene that hasn't already been said is the scene at the very end where they're basically all stopping John Hart right before the device goes off, and he's just like, they all show up, and it's just like, yeah, but your boy is lying on the pavement, and then Jack shows up, and he's just like, you just watch the brain stop. The hamster just falls out of the wheel. It's like
the hamster did just fall out of the wheel. It got flung across the room. Pew! What the fuck?
I fucking killed you. See the brain going, I fucking killed you.
Yeah.
Actually, my more favorite robot quote. But you can't be you. You're already dead. You're already fucking dead.
Yeah, for me that was the moment of yeah.
Yep.
All right. So least favorite scene. M, you're number 1.
Okay, least favorite scene. I suppose I could say the scene where John throws Gwen's phone away to throw them off the trail ultimately amounted to not much.
No, it didn't really throw it too far away, unfortunately.
Nope.
Yeah. Almost thought he was going to keep it on him.
Yeah,
Would have been smarter and dispose of it later.
That's what I had thought too, but nope.
Nope.
That sort of like brings up another question: is that like I'm not sure like how big is Cardiff?
It's fairly large.
It's a big city.
Like the idea that everyone could get to where they were in time to like save everyone.
It's not like London big, but it's a fairly decent sized city.
Let's take a look at the stats. Population, city and county, 362,800. Metropolitan area is 1,097,000. So it's not New York big. I think that's around Madison sized.
Yeah, that sounds just about like roughly Madison, or at least a good portion of it.
A little bigger than Madison. Cardiff's, like I said, the cities, 300. Madison's 200. Metropolitan area for Madison is 654,000 versus 1 million. So yeah, it's a bit bigger than Madison. Probably more like Milwaukee, maybe.
I would almost think Milwaukee would be too big. But I guess you could always double check the numbers.
I'm doing that now. Oh yeah, Milwaukee's twice that size. So.
Yep, never mind.
So
not Milwaukee big, but at least Madison big.
Yeah, slightly bigger than Madison, not as big as Milwaukee.
Or like they could have established like how big the shipping yard was, like how many containers they had to look through before they could find.
They had quite a few there. But yeah.
The area and the city and county of Cardiff is about 54.2 square miles. The urban is about 29.5 square miles. So there you go.
So we can assume that they're probably all in a single corner of the city and not actually spread out.
Somewhere like that, yeah. They're probably just in the urban area, and
I guess arguably makes sense if you consider the rift as a localized phenomenon that's like downtown and not running through all of
either
Cardiff.
that or a straight line that
Mhm.
doesn't get spread out, which is a possibility as well. Like, we know the rift is around the Millennium Center because that's where Torchwood HQ is. What the fuck? That's amazing. So there is a memorial wall not far from the Millennium Center. That's the Ianto Jones Shrine. It is literally a waterside shrine with notes and offerings for the character from Torchwood.
Can't film there anymore.
I am copying this picture.
Yeah, we need to see this.
Oh,
I'm trying to get this picture. Hang on.
In fact, let me see if I can find a picture.
Problem is, I'm trying to get this through Google Maps, and it's not really letting me view picture.
The Ianto Jones Shrine?
Yeah. All right, there we go. I've got the picture now. Yep, hang on, coming up.
Okay, I just got one. I got a couple, actually. See what you got first.
I just pulled it up on Google Images. Yep.
There you go. This is actually a thing. It actually exists.
Yep, can't shoot on that wall anymore.
Or you have to quickly cover it up to do stuff. Yeah.
Probably easier to shoot on a green screen in a set and just use old footage.
But no, I was just looking at this because I was trying to figure out, how much space they would have to go through with the docks, the Millennium Center, and it's like, yeah, that's a pretty straight line. And that's not too far from where they were, so that could have just been in the square mile around Torchwood itself, around the Millennium Center.
Matter of fact, actually, it's right near the, you know how they have that little dock area that they've shot on film a couple times? It's right next to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't show it in that picture, but there's also plaques next to it as well.
Yeah, there are actual plaques. There's actual memorial plaques for the characters, at least Ianto.
Yeah.
That's just, oh my god, that's so amazing.
Yeah, it's just like, gave his life in defense of the children of this planet. The management of Mermaid Key salutes you.
Yes. That's just freaking amazing.
Yeah, I got a bigger picture I can share. Boom. But yeah, you can see a little bit of the dock side. You can see people sitting there. That thing is a pretty sizable wall.
Actually, that's no, that is the same shrine. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a different lens type. It looks like.
Mm-hmm. And taken from on a different day, apparently.
Different day and pulled further back. Yeah, I think it seems like it's been around for a while.
Yeah. No, the fact that this actually comes up when you go into Google and you're looking at landmarks in Cardiff, and the Yanto Jones Shrine actually appears. And not when you're that far zoomed in either. So, yeah.
It's actually like a suggested thing when I put it into Google. When I put his name in, it was like, did you mean like one of the suggestions was on the end of it?
It's just basically, it just kind of knocked me for a loop. Anyway, where were we? Least favorite scene, I think. And who'd gone? I know Tim had gone. Thomas?
Tim had, so it was up to me, I think, yeah. God, it's actually pretty hard.
Notice Owen Harper didn't get a memorial shrine.
It's probably like something that you can step on.
Owen Harper Memorial Shrine. Spit here.
It's a Splatoon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass for now because I can't think of shit.
Okay. All right. Matt, how about you? Least favorite scene?
Least favorite scene. I'm actually going to go with Captain Hart laying Yanto off so easily. I mean, I know he assumed that everything was going to be a huge challenge for these guys, but already laying Yanto off the hook means he was getting too cocky for his own good to begin with.
That is basically Captain Hart in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He is
far too into himself, and it all backfires in his face because of it.
Yep.
Or did it, because he would have died if that hadn't happened.
In fact, yeah, he would have killed himself if it wasn't for the fact that he failed to stop them properly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think the whole thing is being a massive failure. he failed to get the diamond he wanted. It would have died from people that he failed to kill, which wound up saving his stupid ass. But he's better now. He's not.
Not the brightest bulb in the woodshed, would you say?
Correct. All right. So.
Is that me?
Yes.
Oh.
So mine is actually the relationship between two scenes. And I'm more and more realizing that the first one kind of informs the episode, but having them both together still kind of annoys me. The first is that whole thing about how the team never developed or anything while they just sucked while Jack was gone, and Jack even has to be there to save the hostage, and they're kind of implying that the hostage would have just been murdered if Jack hadn't shown up. And then like 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, I guess, Gwen is like, "Oh, I led the team while you were gone. I know what I'm doing." I'm like, do you? Do you really?
There seems to be a little column A and column B, and neither one of them quite meshed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think she was just being pissy, really.
Mm-hmm.
She was, it was the whole angry at Jack for just, freaking sodding off and leaving them, and
yeah.
And to be honest, all of them had a good reason to be pissed off of him just running off without word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
right.
but that also led directly into her, fucking off to take a phone call so that he could assault her when she turned back around.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the same scene, but different parts of the scene.
No, so I mean, like that. Her claiming that she knew what she was doing kind of preceded that happening. So
yeah.
I blame her.
And I that leads right into my least favorite scene, which is the assault on her, because honest to God, she should know better by now.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where I'm just like, no, come on. Character
she's-
development.
Yeah, like, she's dealt with Owen enough that you would think
Mm-hmm.
that she would,
If someone's screaming a creepy bastard to you, you need to get ready to give the guy a knee to the crotch and not let him near you. But
Yeah.
I mean, and on top of that, she's a trained freaking police officer.
yeah, you would think she'd have at
Yeah.
least a takedown move or something for something like that.
Mm.
It just anytime they're casting her as the helpless victim makes my teeth hurt.
Mm.
All right. So that's our least favorite scenes. Final thoughts. Tim?
My final thought is this was an excellent episode with a great new character, good insights into the world and mind of Captain Jack, and I swear I'm not trolling, but I thought Eve Miles gave the best paralyzed performance I've ever seen of someone who couldn't.
Actually legit true too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know how many times she corpsed behind the scenes, but
But
If so,
the
they
stuff
edited
we
it
got
well.
there was pretty long takes, and she
Yeah.
was pretty convincing.
yeah.
Mm.
She was more convincing than Jack was. I saw him move.
All right.
So this is a good episode, I think.
Okay. Thomas?
This episode is actually so good that I'm actually considering it's on End of Days. Because I remember, I ended up giving that a 5. Holy shit. When we get to the ratings, I might actually drop that down slightly just by watching this.
Dun, dun,
That's how good I think this episode is. Yeah, cast is all great. I mean, there are a few things that are annoying as fuck. And with Gwen, fucking hell. It's almost why I'm kind of, it's more annoying because I'm used to, the only thing before watching Torchwood, the only thing I'd seen her in was just, the little snippets of her that you get in the Doctor Who main show,
Right.
which is very little.
You get one
and
episode and then you get the other cameo.
Yeah, and it's she looks competent enough in the one episode she gets to actually do something in that. So going from that to then watching the show and there's so much shit thrown at her, it's fucking hell. But if there is one thing that she can act well, it's traumatic shit. So
Yeah.
between having to deal with Reese's death, literally the episode preceding this, and then having to deal with being paralyzed in this. Very good at portraying that and making it very extremely unsettling. Granted, a lot of unsettling shit happens to her.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely say that if you didn't want to bother with series 1, which really, if you watch Countryside, that's all you really need to watch series 1. But if you want to just skip ahead
maybe
to
episode
this,
1 as well, but yeah.
Oh yeah, you could watch the first episode of series 1, maybe Ghost Monument, and then Countryside, and then you could basically just skip to this if you really wanted. Or this is as we've said, this was a good jumping on point if you're a bit iffy on this. I would honestly think that this episode is gonna sell people better on Torchwood than the first episode of Torchwood.
Definitely better than the second episode of Torchwood, that's for damn sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say that if people haven't seen this, then they should give it a shot.
All right.
I believe that goes to me.
Yes.
So, final thoughts. There's a few things to nitpick here and there that don't quite work right. and feel like they're leftover hanging fruit from the first season. But other than that, there's a lot of the humor in this one was really good. This when they actually legit had serious moments, the serious moments were really well done, and the fact that we're still dropping some of the bad things that didn't work out last season, and we're still fishing around to figure out where to put all the good stuff and where to hang our hat is not a bad thing. And we also have some of the best introductions to the characters so far in the series, to be honest. And we also introduce a new charismatic villain, as well as a very interesting, if not just purely kick off everything and high speed creature to start off the season. There's just a lot of really good going on. It's only a shame that it's not a little more perfected yet.
All right. Bill?
Say James Marsters completely steals the episode, and he's just magnetic every time he's on the screen, no matter how ridiculous whatever is coming out of his mouth happens to be at any given moment. The Torchwood dynamics they're pretty good, other than pretty much that one main element that annoyed me. And yeah, there's some minor issues, but overall, it's an extremely fun episode. It was a great, what appeared to be a one-off, and I think it's still at least the most memorable appearance that James Marsters has had on the show, if not, even though he appeared later on. And yeah, all around an enjoyable episode.
Okay, so my thoughts. It's a well-written, at least well-paced episode, starring from some major star talent in the form of James Marsters. Very decent special effects. Really, the only drawbacks to this episode that I can see is the whole damsel in distress plot from Gwen. Anything else is minor and a nitpick. So,
And they were all in distress, weren't they?
Technically, yeah.
Yeah,
like Gwen
but
more so because they just seem to want to throw the hard loops for her.
Yeah.
So all in all, I think it's very well done. All right, ratings. Thomas, or no, excuse me, Tim, you are first.
Tim. Well, I thought this episode was better than last one, End of Days. And I'm Tim, so I will give this 5 stars.
5 from Tim. Thomas?
5 from Tim.
Yeah, as I said in my final thoughts, this is actually going to make me bump down End of Days to 4.5 because I think this is better. And I'm going to give this a 5 instead.
Retroactive repricing of
It's
that
not
previous
a
episode.
zero-sum game.
All right. Matt?
Gosh, such high praise already from the crowd. I want to say I want to give this a 4.5, but I have to say there are bits of acting in this that genuinely do push up everything else around it to help fix things and keep the bad stuff at bay. So I guess I'll join the choir of 5s.
All right. Bill?
Put me in a tough position because I'm thinking on a few things. Like, I don't know if I can give it a 5, but I do really like the episode, and it would suck to be the downer person on
You
an
are
episode
always
that I
the
really
downer
like.
person.
I know, but I'm saying on an episode that I really like, though. Shit, I can't say like 4.7.
That still
No,
runs up
you
to
know
a
the
5,
rules.
Bill.
No, that 4.7 rolls down to a 4.5.
Oh, actually, no, that's right. That's really 4.5.
If he says 4.7 and a half, then it goes up to a 5.
I'll say the 4.5, I guess.
Oh, Bill.
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 Yes.
Bill.
Yes. Ooh.
Bill, always ruining people's dreams.
So what's it going to be? 4.9 for the whole episode?
Yes, because I'm giving it a 5 because it's like a freaking 4.8 in my book. So that's enough to get it rated a 5. Because there's really only one thing wrong with it. And apparently that's enough for it to be a whole half-point deduction from you.
Despite the fact there's other parts of that overachieve.
That takes us to an average of 4.9 because Bill's a poopy head.
Damn.
Now we're throwing the child insults, you poopy head.
It's not like I gave it a 3.
His.
All right, so now sorting it.
It was almost as good as Time Lash.
And that's our Time Lash reference for today, folks.
So with everything that says that, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang from Torchwood is now number 7
Whew.
out of 286 things reviewed. It is on par with The Pirate Planet, An Unearthly Child, minus The Tribe of Gum. And that's it. Those are the only 3 4.9s we have. It is better than School Reunion, The Armageddon Factor, Dark Water, Death in Heaven, Robots of Death, Time Heist, Empty Child, Dr. Dances, Genesis of the Daleks, and Dalek. And not as good as Face of Evil, The Hand of Fear, Remembrance of the Daleks, Sarah Jane Adventures, The Lost Boy, and The Caves of Androzani. So there we go. Number 7 of 286. The highest Torchwood score we've had goes to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
And I suspect the highest we're going to have.
Sadly.
This is from the same group of assholes that only averaged Countryside to a 4.7.
To be fair, I gave it that a 5 as well. So.
Where did I give that one? A 4 or 4.5?
You gave that a 4.5, and Bill gave it a
4.5.
4.5, and Tim gave it a 4.5.
It's that romantic
Because y'all
interest bullshit that kept fucking ruining it. That horrible relationship stuff that was ruining it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you're ruining what you're rooting for, then you're already losing me your horror movie.
Anyway, so that is all we have to say about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Take it away, Bill.
All right. So, yes, please give us your comments. Do you agree with Randy that we're horrible people for Countryside or for the 4.9? Am I a horrible person? I don't know. Comment.
Yes, you are.
Don't forget to follow us, twitch.tv/Unearthly Podcast and an Unearthly Podcast on YouTube.
Oop. You just
Is
sounded
that
more quiet.
Last thing I heard was on YouTube.
Yeah, then he clicked.
Oh, did we lose Bill again?
That's what I'm just thinking.
Matt, do you want to finish this?
Filling in. You can catch us on YouTube at Unearthly Podcast. You can catch us on Twitch at Unearthly Podcast. You can also find us for updates on Twitter at Unearthly Pod, on Facebook at Unearthly Podcast. And if you enjoy our show enough that you want to throw $1 or $2 our way, maybe a pence, you can always check out Patreon at An Unearthly Podcast.
All right. So, next week, the Cranium of Chibnall moves into its final 2 episodes, as we will continue going down Season 2 of Torchwood to near the end with Torchwood Adrift, written by Chris Chibnall and starring John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, Eve Miles as Gwen Cooper, Bern Gorman as Owen Harper, Naoko Mori as Toshiko Sato, Gareth David Lloyd as Ianto Jones, and continuing with James Marsters as Captain John Hart.
Yay.
See you next week.
See you all then.
Night, night.